Here we are again at Space Between Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates. So we have a exciting show ready for you today. Although, if you are not familiar with the concepts that we have been talking about for the last 46 days, today's lesson could be somewhat challenging for you. Um, hmm. Yeah, it is interesting that we have been discussing so many different ideas and so many different elements and so many different themes. And now we have gotten to the point where, if you haven't been following along, it can start to get a little bit complicated. So I'll try to do my best to simplify everything for you here on day number 47. Day number 47. All right, so today we're talking about day 47. 54 more days to go. So today we're talking about, well, we started a couple of days ago talking about how to evaluate courses of action. So when you have a decision to make, then what is that decision-making process? What are things that you should consider while while thinking about that decision? And then what are the things that really push you toward one choice or another choice? So now the difficulty, of course, is like, where is it? Like, where is that exact place that tells you exactly what to do? So when I read this book, Create Crucial Insight by Thomas Buchholz, he's a physicist, and he's been able to draw out these elements, these themes that can help you to make decisions. And exactly where is it that we make those decisions? That's what I've been thinking about. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because, I've been talking about this state impact and like where is it connected to the other checklists? And where is it, like, finally, where is that moment? Where is that place where I actually have to do, these certain types of behaviors? So I tried to make a chart today, and here is the chart. So let's see if we can get around the wire. All right, so now this is why it's so difficult, because I have letters, and if you don't know the letters, it's going to be difficult for you to know what's going on. So I'll try to explain. All right, so over here we have the endeavor elements. Now, in the endeavor elements, you have shape potential, form agendas, and create effects. So shape potential is basically when you're looking at the potential that you would like to shape. And then forming agendas is when you start to put your plan together. And then create effects is when you start working toward so you can reach those results. Now, these three endeavor elements, they can spread out into 9 different themes in the state progress checklist. So when we're talking about the specific elements which are connected to state impact, so SI is state impact. So all right, so yesterday, let's see if we can, no, I guess we can move it over to this side now. So yesterday we were talking about framing the context. And today we want to talk about developing scenarios. So when you talk about the impact of your decisions, the decision for your plans, obviously is going to be in the form agendas area. Because, I mean, this is when you implement that plan. And this is when you're thinking about what you have to use to put into that plan. All right, so then with the state progress checklist, the 3 areas of making your plan, forming your agenda, you have your make assumptions area, you have your build scenarios, and then you have your choose plans. So, like right now, are we making assumptions? So the thing is, when you frame the context, that's when you're kind of like bringing in the assumptions into the problem. And then obviously building scenarios is where you develop scenarios. All right, so today, the theme from today is develop scenarios. Build scenarios, state progress is the same as develop scenarios from state impact. Now, why did I put these other questions in here? Funny. All right, so we have, what's this? So we have state synergies. And in the state synergies, we want to develop the scenario. We want to know who is involved with this scenario. And when we talk about state inventiveness, we want to know what is involved with this scenario. And then when we talk about state assumptions, of course, that's talking about making assumptions. We want to know why. All right, so that's the research behind it. And then finally, when we talk about state synergies is here, state styles. So then when we have your state styles, then we're talking about how. So remember with state styles, we have like nil, don't do anything, haphazard, we have inventing or working with different processes, or we have an actual exact process. Maybe we're doing some embedding, maybe we're doing some transcending beyond needing and doing. State assumptions, all right, so we do the research and then we come back with the insight that we need in order to make that decision. Inventiveness, we decide like what is going to go into this actual thing that we're working with. So, and then we have our state synergies, which is like who is involved with this process. So, I mean, we've done all of this research, right? And this is the problem I'm having right now. It's like, all right, so how do I really like when I'm developing these scenarios, I can do it simply. I can just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, how simple is that, really? Going through all these checklists just to come up with your scenario. But obviously, it does help. It provides quite a bit of clarity. You don't necessarily have to do all that work. But, this is the thing is, in the past, I've gone through all of these checklists one by one, theme by theme. And now I kind of want to I want to move. So when it comes to developing scenarios, I kind of want to go to another checklist. It's called state teamwork. And I think by going to state teamwork, then it'll really help to define the the scenarios. So develop scenarios by itself, it's such a broad concept. But how do I develop these scenarios? Do I just talk about who I'm working with? Do I just talk about what we're going to try to do? Are we just talking about why we're what is the difference between all these different things? Are we just talking about what style we're going to be using as we work? Yes, obviously we need to add all of those together. But the place, so the one checklist that I think really makes a difference in this decision making process, oftentimes when you make a decision, it people want to have some legal protection. Now, even if you don't have actual legal protection, it is helpful if you go through the process of how to create a contract. What are the different areas? What do you need to do? What does the other person need to do? What's going on? Really developing, I think the building a scenario oftentimes really has this teamwork approach to it. I was thinking what's going on? It's when you make a decision, well, one thing you're trying to do is to achieve buy-in, right? You want the guys that you're working with to agree. You want the people who are involved with the choice to agree. And these are called win-win scenarios. And if you really want to develop win-win scenarios, then you need to have buy-in. You need other people to agree with the things that you are thinking about. Also, think about the level of communication. Is there enough communication in your decision-making process? Do you have one person who is at the top and they are making the decision and everyone else has to say things or do things so that they kind of agree with that person? Or do you have much more flexibility where you involve the people within that decision-making process? So people think about the level of communication. Are you able to communicate intent? Are they able to provide for you their opinions? Also, developing perspective. So I think that often that if we want to develop perspective, yes, we need to have more communication. We probably want to move away from this kind of this dictator, monarch approach and move to a more democratic, communicative environment. But then, of course, maybe that's not the way. There's these different ways to work with these concepts. All right, so and also learn intent. You know, you really want if before you're able to make a decision, you really need to learn what other people are intending to do, what they're intending to work towards, what they really want. And that's why, like, as I started to think about, like, how do I really develop scenarios, I thought, I think it's better if we now jump over to the state teamwork checklist, because the state teamwork checklist is going to help us to go through all of these concepts step by step. I mean, do you really want a satisfying experience working with other people? Or do you want a frustrating experience working with other people? And I think by going through the state teamwork checklist right now, I think that we can learn to become a better provider. We can learn to support our customers. We can also be a better user of other people's services. And the relationships within our companies, they can improve as we start to figure out how to improve our support. So let's finish today's video, and I think we're going to jump over to state teamwork for the next couple of days, next 5, 6 days, and then after we've been through the state teamwork checklist, then we will jump back and finish off the state impact checklist. So bear with me. It's going to be a good 10 days as we work through these checklists together. And I hope that you'll be able to benefit through this process. If you are getting ready to make a decision right now, hopefully you have 10 days to make the decision, because it's going to take that long to get through these themes. But I think that you will be able to see the framework of how to develop win-win relationships, and hopefully that will provide an opportunity for you to enjoy better business experiences. Thank you for joining in today. This is Space Between Ideas, and I'm Blaine Gates.